This week on Illegal Aliens, Michael discovers he'll never make it in the cutthroat world of peanut cluster sales. Isabel gives herself a flat tire, and the substitute geometry teacher is unmasked as the guidance counselor. We're looking at The Morning After, episode 2 of season 1 of Roswell. I'm Chris.
And I'm Claire, and this is Illegal Aliens, a Roswell podcast.
So The Morning After first aired on October the 13th, 1999.
It was directed by David Nutter and written by Jason Katims, a combination we last saw in the pilot episode.
And in this episode, the writing of the show diverges a lot more from the Roswell high paperback books. The pilot and the first book cover a lot of the same plot, roughly, but the second paperback, The Wild One, involves Isabel discovering another teenage alien boy at school, and this hunky new alien friend, Nicholas, tempts her into misusing her powers for shoplifting and sneaking into the mall late at night.
Ah, well, that's radically different from this. So shall we launch the recap then?
Sounds good.
Max wakes in the night, hears an intruder climbing through the window, and is about to swing a baseball bat when he recognizes Michael. Michael wants to know more about the corpse photo that Valenti showed Liz, but Max warns him that finding the photo without being caught would be impossible.
The next morning, Michael looks at the sheriff's station from outside, considering the high windows.
In the station, Valenti confronts FBI agent Hart, who was sent to sit on a stool and people watch. He orders Hart out and phones the FBI to ask why he was sent, but whoever he's talking to at the FBI hangs up. Alone in his office, Valenti reviews his file on the hand-printed victim from 1959. He removes a key taped to the file folder and hides it in the cup of his coffee thermos.
Michael goes into the sheriff's station pretending to sell candy for charity, looks around and asks questions, but the older Native American deputy, Owen, orders him out. Michael goes to Max and Isabel and pitches a plan to sneak into Valenti's office by the window and steal the picture. Isabel wants nothing to do with this scheme, and Max asks a few questions before telling Michael it's too risky.
Agent Stevens comes into Valenti's office, tells Jim that Liz's dress had only ketchup, and starts to confiscate Valenti's alien files. Valenti leaves them to it, takes a lunch break, and takes the coffee thermos in which he hid the key with him.
Michael sees that people are taking files out of the sheriff's office, goes to Max, who's with Liz at the time, and tries once more to persuade him to break in and find the picture, but Max refuses, tells Michael to go to his place, and warns him not to do anything stupid.
When Max returns home from the trailer park, Isabel tells him that Michael is missing. Michael makes it to the sheriff's office, but finds the drawers empty.
Isabel goes into the sheriff's station to keep Valenti out of his office by asking for his help with a flat tire, while Max heads in through the window to get Michael back out safely.
Michael finds and picks up the key, and experiences a flash so powerful that it knocks him off balance. Max hurries him back out the window with seconds to spare, taking the key with them.
Max apologizes to Michael, offering sympathy for his home situation, but Michael says that he's better off, as it's easier for him to face the prospect of leaving at a moment's notice.
At the school, we meet Mr. Topolsky, a substitute teacher who asks about aliens and about Michael's absence during roll call. Liz is suspicious, but Max tells her not to jump at shadows.
In the hallway, Kyle tries to talk to Liz about her tardiness at the Crash Festival in the pilot, but Liz blows him off and hurries to follow Topolsky down the hallway. She collides with Topolsky coming around a corner, helps pick up the file Topolsky dropped, and sees that one of them is Michael's. More suspicious than ever, Liz goes to the trailer park where Michael lives to warn him.
Topolsky does a terrible job teaching the geometry of a triangle, and Liz's suspicions mount. Max remains unconvinced until he sees Topolsky and the sheriff talking, and suddenly alien-hunting spies seem a lot more plausible.
Max invites Liz to the eraser room, an infamous spot for make-out sessions and more, and Maria panics. Once Liz arrives, Max agrees that Topolsky isn't who she seems, and they spy on her from a grate that looks down on her office. Topolsky tells a stranger that she's going to go to Michael's home. Max and Liz set out to follow her.
At Michael's home, Topolsky arrives, followed by Max and Liz, and Kyle, who spots them in the car. Liz panics and tells Kyle that she's about to go bowling with Max and Michael.
The following day, Topolsky confronts Liz about Michael. She confesses she is not a substitute teacher, but a guidance counselor, and asks Liz to carry a message to Michael. Meet with her about ditching class, or he'll soon be expelled.
And that's this week's episode. um,
Yeah. So I think I wanted to start with kind of the theme of paranoia that's running through it. There's Liz and Maria and Max not being sure who to trust, and even Valenti kind of is looking to see who's watching him.
yes, we do a lot with secrets and who knows what in this
Yes.
episode.
Yes, that's definitely Liz's closing monologue, which I think fits very well.
Yeah, that sort of feels like a thesis statement on the episode, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah, although even so, I wish that there was more to the thesis.
I do a bit too.
Though,
But
yeah, I was definitely struck watching this episode that it kind of seemed a little bit less like it was a story in itself and more setting up a whole bunch of things which are going to pay off during the first half of the first season.
yes, it's a stepping stone episode, really. In other ways, too, it feels a bit, to me, I don't know if anyone else felt like this at all watching it, like the plot to a George Smiley novel. There's a mole in the circus, and we want to know who. Topolsky is Carla, they take it in turns to be Smiley.
I'm not familiar with that, but it certainly sounds interesting.
They're, oh, John le Carre spy novels,
Ah, right.
which I have not been reading, I've been rewatching them
Ah,
lately, so I
right.
think I have them on the brain.
Yeah, Liz's questions of Max in the eraser room do bring up some interesting ideas. The whole notion about Max's age and his appearance, which
Yeah, we start to build our understanding of alien biology
we do.
and the alien universe, which is interesting. Even if we are sort of simultaneously, I don't know, allaying Maria's fears about 3 feet tall, green and slimy, third eye, something or others.
Yes. Yeah, the fact that Max is so human without having to make an effort in that direction does feed into what we'll explore later on with the idea of them being hybrids, that they do have a human side as well as an alien side.
Yes, they're. It's not as simple as being alien or not alien. We're starting to see that.
I really love that little exchange between them where Liz is talking about how everybody seems to be paying attention to her and that stifles.
Her growth, really, doesn't it?
Yes, yes. How can I grow up with everybody looking at me like this? And Max, on the other hand, he has that anonymity that Liz wants so much, and he wishes he didn't have to use it.
Yes, and yet, even as he has that, we do get a wonderful glance at his home life, and it's
Right.
just exuding normalcy. You know?
Yes.
But no, I'm glad you called out that exchange because it's particularly striking as they debate the spectrum of invisibility and visibility and where they want to be on it.
Yes.
And there probably is an optimum
Yes.
middle ground, but what teenager gets
Right.
there?
True. Yeah, and a few other things which, again, kind of are brought up and not really. There's a very clear tease about, oh, how did Michael end up in the trailer park and you ended up in this perfect home situation? Oh, it's a long story. I'll tell you later. And to give them credit, they do get into that story later.
We
But
do. One of my favourite episodes from the first season, Toy House, deals
yes.
with some of that. I look forward to that discussion, but
And I have to admit, I was wondering exactly why Topolsky was meeting with Valenti.
yeah, well, a lot of what Topolsky does feels a bit askew. I mean,
Right.
it can't be normal to turn up on the doorstep of the student you're worried about expulsion, even if she is a guidance
Yes.
counsellor.
Yeah.
But
Yes,
yes,
I was
I
actually wondering if that was possibly connected, if she was meeting with Valenti to, in some way, arrange for her to take an active role in with the student truancy problem that would not be in the normal role
ah,
for a guidance counselor.
oh no, that's interesting. I like that thought. It certainly makes sense of that meeting because otherwise, as you say, it's a bit odd. Especially
Yes.
considering, I mean, Valenti does hunt aliens to a point, but he's
Yes.
not in it professionally, as it were.
No. No.
And the people that are seem very reluctant to involve him.
And he certainly doesn't seem to know anything about what Topolsky's hidden agenda might be when we see the two of them interacting more later.
No, no. Which is interesting because that seems to be we do a lot in this episode with communication and miscommunication, and we don't hear the
Right.
conversation between those two, obviously. But that seems to be one of those few moments of successful communication interaction, rather than when he does try to get involved with the FBI and they actually go
Right.
they hang up.
Yes.
And before that, anyway, it sounds like a bad transatlantic call, Kirka 1950. But
Yes.
all the shouting down the line.
Yes, you would think they would have better phone lines.
You really would, but then who knows? Maybe we are referencing Smiley.
So, what did you think about Michael's little thesis at the end about kind of I'm stronger because I don't have this perfect family because being attached to that would make me weaker?
Oh, that's there's a lot in there. I think it's
Yes.
especially once we see Michael's home life, or we start to.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, we will see a lot more of it over.
And we talked a bit last week about how he doesn't put stock in things the
Yes.
same way Max and Isabel seem to. And I think we do get the sense that he's a bit more detached, as it were,
Right.
from Roswell. So I think there's something greatly poignant in that. This idea that no, I'm better off because I'm
Yes.
less involved. Don't get in too deep with these people.
And on the other hand, I was wondering about the fact that Michael is said to have less control over his abilities that Max and Isabel do. And
Yes,
was
that's
wondering
interesting
if that
too.
was because, like, I mean, clearly some of it could be because of his temper, but also I'm wondering about if Max and Isabel were able to find ways for each other to practice in safety that Michael couldn't do being more on his own.
Yes, or even if it's just, I mean, not being a scientist or a psychologist or anything here, if they're having more emotional stability was a factor in them having more
Right.
control of their powers. Because
Yes.
we don't see a lot of Hank, but he seems a bit much, I suppose, for lack of a better
Oh, yeah.
word.
Right.
We get that lovely old world chivalry from Michael to Liz. He didn't insult you or anything. So clearly
Right.
he has form for being a bit explosive, Hank. Well, and
Yes.
Max alludes to it too, doesn't he? Have you argued with him? He says when Michael comes
Right.
in through the window. So I wouldn't be at all surprised if we found out that stress or difficult home environments were a contributing factor to that.
Yeah, yeah, that's something that we can definitely trace as we go through the connection
Yeah.
between emotional control and power control. And we don't see many new alien powers aside from the ones involved with the break-in, with opening and closing the window, and I believe we're told about turning off the security system. I'm not sure if we even see that one.
I don't think we do, but I assume that's really more molecule manipulation? Says the English
Yeah,
student here.
yes, or possibly electron manipulation,
Okay.
electricity
That would make more
manipulation.
sense, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Yes.
But certainly we get more of that on the spot thinking that we were beginning to track last week. Michael, it turns out, can come up with a plan that mostly holds together under pressure.
Whereas Liz, again, is not very good at lying or coming up with a story on this for the moment.
Maria neither.
Yes. Yeah, but I was thinking about the scene with Liz and Max and Kyle, and it
Yes,
kind of devolved into sitcom humor there, and not
just a
in a really
bit.
good way.
No, no, not particularly. No, I don't blame Kyle for being spectacularly unconvinced about this late night bowling expedition, I've got to say.
Yes. One little thing that I'm not sure if it was supposed to be deliberate contrast or just a clever piece of set dressing or something, but in the moment where Max spots Topolsky talking to Valenti and hides so that he's not seen by them, you can see that he's got his back up against a trophy case or something, and you can see a big picture of Kyle in the trophy case.
I missed that. I'll have to go look for it now. I did notice, though, when Liz and Kyle are talking, or Liz is attempting not to talk to Kyle, she's got a couple of Giannis masks behind her, drama masks. Those
Ah,
two-faced, the two-faced god.
right.
Which was interesting, because it's sort of for two worlds colliding there.
Yes. Yes.
Which Might again be me being over analytical, but
No, no, it's definitely an evocative image with all of this stuff about secrets and
yeah, it stood out to me as I was starting to track secrets and
right.
th-
Okay.
things we suppress. Yeah.
And one thing that I just kind of noticed, and I'm not sure how much to make of it, but it seemed a little bit as if the timeline was possibly confused because when Maria was trying to convince Liz about bringing Alex in, she mentioned, "Oh, the sheriff was just asking me all of these questions."
Yes, I had this problem too, and then I gave up trying to unravel
Right.
it.
Yeah, which almost seems as if that was something that would reference next week's episode and that they could have swapped them around,
Yes,
possibly
I'm
because
wondering what order they did these in.
yes. Yeah, they didn't find anything that suggested that it was ever seriously planned to have them in a different order. It's possible that it was an early change because the B plot of next week's episode will involve Topolsky being established as the guidance counselor.
I suppose it's possible too. She's alluding to the pilot, Maria. This is,
Yeah,
and there's a scene we didn't see either this episode or the previous one where the sheriff questions her,
right.
or possibly that's implicit. Who knows?
Yeah,
But definitely, it stumbles a bit.
yeah. It would make some sense if he would ask her some questions that we didn't see based on her role in the Crash Festival.
Yes, because at the very least, she was hit by a car, and he should be making sure she's okay.
Yes.
I would hope.
Possibly that was happening at the same time as Max and Liz were having their little goodbye.
Ah, that's a good thought.
So is there anything else you can think of?
Um, I don't think so. I think we've glossed all of my notes.
I actually liked the one thing that you mentioned in an email to me, that this is an episode that does what it says on the tin.
Yes, it does. We start looking up at the sky and speculating about the future, and we end speculating about the future and about the nature of secrets, and
Yep.
we do it well, yeah. We get a couple of interesting, I don't know if there's anything to be made of it, but quite a few interesting shots with those bars on the window and with the slats in the blinds, and the way they filter light. And I did
Right.
wonder if that was intentional or if I was just looking for things madly.
Yeah. I'm not quite sure what that would be.
I'm not sure either. I wondered if it was to do with who knew what in a given moment. Yeah. I mean, I feel as if there is something potentially there, and I'm just not quite picking up on it. I think that's all for this discussion, and we've reached the point in the show where we should give the episode a rating. Chris?
Yeah, well, a lot of what we're building here is going to be key for the first half of the season, so I will give The Morning After a rating of 1 mysterious key.
Oh, that's quite good. I was thinking 10 student record cards, but I think, as it's a stepping stone episode, maybe 5. 5 student record
Okay,
cards.
fair enough. So if you agree or disagree with us, you can get in touch. You can find us on Twitter at AliensCast, on Facebook at facebook.com/AliensCast, or visit our blog, alienscast.com.
If you've enjoyed this episode, please leave us a review over on iTunes and help other Roswellians find us. Our theme music is Epic Trailer Intro by Honey Lemon.
Illegal Aliens is released under a Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, No Derivatives license. Find out more by searching for Creative Commons. I'm Chris Culworth.
And I'm Claire. Join us next Monday, May 8th, 2017, as we discuss the 3rd episode of Season 1, Monsters.
In which perhaps we'll find out how enormous a hot fudge blastoff is and if they really have 80 grams of fat.